Greetings, this is Free Adventure. I welcome you to, the part 7 of my 12 Days of Christmas lore. Something I've been wanting to do for a few years now. uh, now, the reason why this is coming out on the 13th, which would have been right after the 30 days, will be explained later. But there's there's like a primary event, and then I'll explain it at the end of the video. Oh, let's see. But now on this just imagine that this came out on December 31st. And now, on the 7th day, looking back at years past. We'll be looking now at the past celebrations of New Year's, who were doing them, and more importantly, when. The first record of a New Year's celebration was around 4,000 years ago in ancient Babylon, where it was known as Itu. It was this particular one that was based on lunar cycles, specifically the first new moon known after at the spring equinox. As to bring a new year bring in a new fertile year, as you say. Okay, which was the primary reason for this, for it being when it was. They were not the only civilization, though, to use the lunar calendar as to determine. To determine a New Year's, as famously Chinese New Year is always the second new moon after the winter solstice. Reasons I never quite been explained to me. How others do like to focus on more the fertility. Other cultures did like to. Will focus on the fertility aspect to determine the new year, such as ancient Egypt, whose new year started with the annual flooding of the Nile River, which, of course, being in a desert country, the flooding is what helped give them their crops and stuff, and was vital to them. No. And as time ago, and even once the system we have being introduced and stuff, was being introduced, not everyone was on board. Though a lot of Christians were switched to the new method, the church itself acknowledged the Christian church kept their own New Year's Day, starting with which starts at the beginning of Advent, which is considered the beginning of this Christmas season, and while we're talking about and before we go into something, I would like to point out once again, based on other videos, that in many of the Slavic nations, what we know today as the giving of gifts of Christmas by Santa Claus started. One of its origins was with this figure of dead Moros, who had the classic look of Santa and was the one to give Christmas, to give the gifts. Though since they didn't, so before they got really into Christianity, though, this was actually depicted as being on New Year's itself, making it a celebration. But what caused us to save January 1st as the well? Well, first off, we're talking about ancient Rome's tradition, which had which I believe is said to have a 304-day year cycle, and with only 10 months. It was only. It was only under Numa Pompilus, I hope I got that name right, that they officially adopted 2 different months, which would become known as January and February. While Julius Caesar, the big man himself, was the one to first use January 1st as the start of the new year, which was later adopted by the Gregorian calendar as the official when they I won't say perfected, because I don't think any calendar is truly perfected, but gained the most accurate calendar, widespread calendar to date. And before I talk about what a tradition held on is that the Dead Morose was gave the gifts on New Year. Well, we also can look at the other her famous traditions of New Year's around the world. Most of them are still held today. Like, for instance, the most recent one was of course, big tradition of Times Square with the dropping of the New Year's ball. All as a way of as a physical representation of the New Year descending upon us. We also is also a great tradition to drink specifically champagne on New Year's and on New Year's Eve, and as well as the beginning of the night of New Year's to celebrate. Mainly because when champagne was first introduced, it was considered very high class, like or even as stuff for royalty, and it's like a little splurge and stuff. Also, a way of saying this will be their faith. It also could be considered a way of showing, excuse me, saying that your faith that you will have a prosperous year by splurging a little bit at the very start. That or showing how well you did last year, of course. How a lot of Spanish speaking countries like often have a special tradition when the clock strikes down and hits midnight. And I've actually seen this on different shows. They each eat 12 grapes for the to symbolize each month of the coming year. And I think they're also going to make. You're supposed to make wishes during it as to what you hope the year will have. Among these Spanish is Mexico, which also, along with Sweden and one other. I had to make most of these videos, by the way, back to try to get it as soon as possible, and with some certain delays that happened, I'm a little rusty about some of these facts, but Sweden and another, they actually have ring-shaped capes that are served, which symbolize a year coming full circle, the last year coming full circle. Pork is often a favorite dish on the holiday, as it was often like in older days associated with prosperity and wealth, like the fattening of the. One major thing is also just because of how festive is fireworks, and of course, who can forget the singing of Old Lang Syne, which is the basically anthem of the New Year of New Year's Eve. It translates, I believe, a rough translation is "for good old times." Looking back on the good things you had on the past year and hopes of the next year. And to end this particular video, we must end a little bit on a sad note with a memorial. Some of the more notable characters who did not make it to see will not live to see 2025. 35th President of the United States, Jimmy Carter, who passed at the age of 100 just in the last few days. Michael Calder and Billy. Oh, these last two are particularly hard by heart because of how big of fans. Actress Maggie Smith, who was famously played McGonagall in the Harry Potter movies, and James Earl Jones, one of the great voices of Hollywood, the voice of Mufasa and of Darth Vader. And on a personal note, the loss of my personal computer, for whom all these videos have been delayed, went out just like the night before New Year's Eve. Had to Eve, and I had to get a new one on New Year's Eve, which I was able to get. However, I needed a schedule appointment to get to make sure all my files were restored to the new computer. Which, while home, I started up and actually got most of my files just off of cloud storage. Only some video files and stuff. What bugs me is I realize now I technically have everything I needed to actually to keep going then, but I had to go to the store. And when I went to get the store, I had to end up doing a drop off, and I had to come pick it off. They told me it'd be most likely early Saturday, which not quite early Saturday, but midday Saturday, a little past midday Saturday. I did get it. Most annoying thing though, I got a text message to say that it was actually ready Friday, but the thing wouldn't let me schedule for anything past noon on Saturday. And with that, try to make all the different slideshows for the different videos, and starting to take down Christmas is why you do not see my traditional holiday background, as that has officially been dismantled. Is why I got here so late. Why these videos are got here so late that they're like the year 2024. Here you'll find my credits for what I used to create this little video. And with that, I thank you for joining me. This is Freenair Imagery. I wish you a Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, hopefully a good New Year, and as always, may thee have good fortune on the quest of life.